Very good afternoon. Welcome to a special session about three major impacts of artificial intelligence to business and industry. This is a third session of public webinar about, especially in the area of AI using machine learning. I think in the past 6 months or 8 months, we have been organizing nearly about 8 badges, workshops, particularly on coachings. People coming from the field of R&D as well as private sector, how to make use of this robust technology, AI, especially in machine learning, to help improve the bottom line of the business as well as industries. Also, not to mention those people coming from fields on engineering and scientific research, they also find that machine learning actually becomes not just robust, but actually practical, that could be used as a daily tool and for many different applications, more than you can ever imagine. Let's take a quick look. When people talk about AI these days, immediately people think about like computer visions. Yeah, of course, this is part of the prevalent technologies. People use deep learning, and by the integrating with a lot of media or image processing or video processing technology, you're able to identify them using computer visions to help you do a lot of not just visual recognitions, but object recognitions, how human beings to make detection in a very efficient manner. But today, we are not actually talking about this area that involve a lot of investment in terms of infrastructures, as well as setting up the complex database involve gigabytes or terabytes of images and videos. We are talking about those data you have been handling in a day-to-day basis, like using Excel spreadsheet. How could you actually also benefit from AI, particularly in the machine learning area, for immediate results? Not to mention that you're coming from field of business on R&Ds as industries. How could that be possible? Let me share with you quickly. Now, according to your research that done by Forbes about 5 years ago, and also as just a year ago, they based on the survey on quite a numbers of companies, especially the feedback from those informations technologies managers like CTO in the companies, they realize if their company actually opt to using machine learning, they do experience at least like 21% improvement on the speed to market, about 40% of improvement in productivities, and almost near to like 1/3 of reduction in operating costs. And compared to the departments who are implementing or making use of machine learning and AI, they in fact also experience at least 2 times more the performance compared to their counterparts in the same company. And not to mention that either their marketing and sales or operations and logistics, based on their experience in the past few years, who actually people who try to exploit technologies and machine learning, they sometimes experience as much as 3 times more the performance compared to their industry's counterpart. This is how powerful and also robust and in the AI and machine learning to help us to be more competitive in the market. How is that so? Let me share with you from these 3 major impacts. Firstly, speed to market. Secondly, productivity. Thirdly, operating costs. How could machine learning this day helping people like you and I? You do not have to be the MNC company like Google or Facebook, yeah, to enjoy the technologies of machine learning or AI. Today, ordinary executive, as long as you are handling analysis data, marketing and business, we're all concerned about 3 things. How do we actually accelerate our service and products in a compressed time? Yeah, because the more compressed your time is, the lower your overhead is. The faster you roll out product and services to the market, the lesser the money had to throw in the overhead, such as electricities and renters and warehouse costs and logistic costs, so and so forth. Also, a salary you pay to the people who maintain. So people like to accelerate the time they roll out the services and products to the market. How does machine learning help? Also, how does machine learning help in terms of improving the productivities and operating costs? All those translate into dollar and cent. So today, we are not just sharing from the perspective of our technical say, but we're sharing actually from a very practical way. How do we actually do predictive customer analytics? How do we do predictive pricing? How do we do predictive maintenance? How do we do predictive engineering? These are four basic predictive analytics that people find it most directly, powerfully impact the business as well as the industry. Of course, machine learning and predictive analytics using machine learning, people been using in many different areas, application domains. But for the business point of view and industry point of view, these four areas are most commonly applied. Yeah, like customer analytics, predictive pricings, predictive maintenance, and predictive engineering. Let me share one by one. Yeah. So now let's take a traditional look at marketing. How do people do? How do people actually identify the potential clients? Yeah, this is one of the traditional tools people have been using in the past. For instance, we look at among all the thousands or hundreds of customer database you have, quite likely you have the transaction records. If you do have a transaction records, you can easily break into 3 columns. How recently they have purchased or engaged your company, and how frequently they purchase or engage your company, and how much they have paid for all the services and products your company have been offering. Based on these 3 categories, you give different ratings to those customers accordingly, so that you can do couple grouping accordingly to find out which customer actually potentially return the best value to your organization. So you can rate according to the best value-adding customer, to the moderate value-adding customer, and the less value-adding customer, so on and so forth. Usually people bring to 5 categories. But today I would not like to explain more on this area because it's traditional approach. I would say it's practical and useful, and have been helping a lot of marketing executives in the past in identifying who are their potential customers, who should they focus on, how should they talk to them. But today we are actually offering from another point of view, which is much more efficient using machine learning. Bear in mind, today we don't look at transaction per se. You look at your customer individually, also in a very unique way. For instance, their biometrics such as age, gender, marital status, education status, job title. You also look at how actually they have interact with your company. For instance, if I am an insurance company or the banking company, also look at that, how many credit cards they have, what's their credit limit, do they have housing loan, how do they service their loan, so on and so forth. Also, there are a lot of internal scoring, for instance, RFM scoring you just come out with. So we do not look at customer from a single perspective. We actually look at customer as an individual, unique person. Each of them deserve our attention such that we can actually roll out a marketing campaign in the most cost-effective and the result-oriented way. So if we can put all those we call features together, then we can find out who is a potential customer. And the technology of machine learning will help is if you put in all those different features or variables inside that machine learning algorithm, the system is able to take all those historical data, and if you do have a new customer coming in, the system, if you have proper modeling, you're able to tell you who is your customer, whether they are considered the best value-adding customer to the least value-adding customer. In such a way that in the past, that a lot of time that we roughly would know who are our VIPs or VVIP and so on and so forth. But now if you're dealing with 10 or 1,000 customers, if you want to invest in the next marketing campaign, isn't it wonderful if you have a system automatically categorized for you? Who will be potentially give you a best profit return, and who will be the customer who deserve a little bit more attention such that you do not lose them in the next marketing campaign. So now, how to make this thing work? Now, before I share with you that how this thing works, I just share with you that what kind of result we can come out with, how you impact your operating costs, improve and accelerate your time to the market, at the same time reduce operating costs. So first thing, if you have a system that can quickly help you to focus on the right customer, 85 to 90% of them, meaning that if you have a 10 or 1,000 customers for a next marketing campaign, if I can tell that the first 200 customers, like 85 or 90% of them will say yes to marketing campaign, that will actually be not just help you accelerate your services on new launch or marketing campaign in a very much compressed time. Also, very importantly, it saves you from not talking to about, let's say, 75 to 80% of those who might not be interested in this marketing campaign. So it not just help you to directly target, focus all your energies and your marketing guys and the resources on those who are potentially saying yes to a marketing campaign. You also save you a lot of time and resources and marketing resources from not talking to those people who are potentially not interested in this marketing campaign. So now you're not just saying that how we bring you new better revenue, you also help you to cut a lot of operating costs. This is how powerful the predictive customer analytics is. Another way, we also have another issue need to resolve. Yeah. So today, if you're launching a new product, a lot of time that we are concerned, how do we make ourselves competitive in pricing the market? Of course, you can do a lot of survey. Yes. One of the survey is potential. Maybe you are trying to collect all your competitors' features and pricing what they have. If you're about to invest in a new services or products, you also not just look at the customer profile. You also look at what kind of product and services they ask. For instance, today, if you're housing properties or you're selling cars, yeah, second-hand cars or selling the properties, things are actually subject to a lot of expertise opinion to come on valuing. Yes, those expertise, they are useful, they are powerful, they are very important in valuing the properties as well as some of the important assets. But what if in your website, if you have all those informations available in past many years, for instance, if you're selling houses, if I were to tell you that what is built-up area of the house that one of the potential buyers is talking about, how many rooms they're asking for, is a condominium, is apartment, is a gated community, it is actually communities in a high-end, at a high-paying people with higher income, people or moderate income, or how's the population in area like, how's the traffic condition, things like that. If we could have a system that automatically do valuation for you, instead of you engaging our expert to give the opinion all the time, it not just save time, but you save a lot of expertise expenses in expertise consultation. In this case, for instance, if I were going to system and tell that averagely a particular house that you throw in the system, you can tell that it's about 500,000 and 95% level of confidence, you say that it's plus minus 50,000. Meaning that if the system going to tell you that a house or property worth 500,000, isn't it wonderful that you know with 95% confidence, you know you between the error plus minus 50,000, meaning that if any one time I tell someone this property worth 500,000, I know I will be like 95% level confidence is plus minus 50,000. Yeah, eventually when I strike the deal. Yeah. So how does that do? How does it work? So today I'm going to share with you some quick approach. Now, approach like this. Now, this is one of the system I'm going to share with you now. You do not have to care about how this system works for them. I just want to share with you when I keep on saying low-hanging fruit, meaning that technology this day is much easier compared to the past. For instance, now, if you have actually an Excel spreadsheet, a simple Excel spreadsheet, that's what everyone actually, how we are keeping our data. For instance, here, now, I'm sharing with you about so-called a bank who actually decide who to call, who to approach for the next person, for the particular, let's say, a bank loan, personal loan, let's say 3.5%, and with specials like a payoff scheme, things like that. So if these particular banks have maintained their Excel spreadsheet, usually, I think all companies do, all marketing executives, they should be maintaining a data sheet like that. Yeah, for instance, how old the person is, what job they're holding, what's marital status they're having. If I have actually a record set, few thousand this record, what I have to do is I ask the system, hey, please import it in the system. And the system, what the system will do is start importing and doing a training accordingly. So what you could see here, the system now is processing data and train automatically. Now, in the past, if you want to train some data like this, it's not simple, especially you need to be actually a well-trained coder. Yes, of course, well-trained coder or machine learning expertise will be helpful to handle the project. But today, that unlike I keep on saying low-hanging fruits, meaning that now with somehow a sufficient training, not training that actually take you through an entire college to be a data scientist, But talking about training, like maybe going through like 1 or 2 weeks during your spare times or during your working hour, you could actually achieve result like what I'm showing on the screen. Because you've seen all the things here become so much simple. Of course, today I'm not going to explain to you what this output looks like, but quickly here, what the system is just a quick result that I can share with you right now is what the system is telling us is, if today I'm going to approach, let's say, in this case, approximately about 400 potential customers, and I can immediately detect 67 out of 70 of them correctly who is going to say yes to us. Meaning that in reality is that among these 400 customers in my database, 70 of them are going to say yes. Yeah, 70 of them say yes. Not 70. About 600 of them, 70 of them going to say yes. But the system able to detect 63 out of 70 of them to tell these are the people you should speak to. My accuracy is as high as 90%. So now, if I know my accuracy is as high as 90%, immediately I can actually deploy the system and ask the system, say, hey, if I have a customer follow these attributes or characteristic, what will be the chances he's going to say yes to my marketing campaign? Say, okay, in this case, that the chance of this person to say yes is about 15%. 85% is going to say no, so pretty much can ignore this guy. So I save my time by skipping this, by not paying attention to this guy at all. At the same time here, let's say I have a house here. Similarly, if I do have Excel spreadsheet, important things that you have a data that you maintain it. For instance, in this case, this is the data you're maintaining. Yeah. Again, you have all the information that you have maintaining here in the system. The next thing here is what you have to do is just import the data and ask the system to figure out how it could best model the data. So it's quickly just in a few seconds, yeah, inside your notebook. You immediately, before you put to use, you do accuracy check. Say, hey, if I'm going to use this model, how accurate going to look like? So now the system immediately gives a comparison chart. It say, hey, if we're going to use this model, ideally speaking, right, if whatever things that the system come out with, it should be the same as the actual one. So this is predicted value, is the actual value. So obviously I see there's a lot of predicted value versus the actual value, quite closely following along this ideal line. Yeah, what's happening here? So if I look at this situation here, if I look at this chart here, down here, we can notice here, majority of the error is between a plus minus 5,000. So this model is fantastic, meaning that if I'm going to ask this model to do a prediction, I know the predicted prices that give it to me. For instance, in this case here, I say, if I go and give this particular attributes on this property, it's going to tell me that this is going worth this much, but my error is between plus minus 3.5 thousand with one standard deviation. For instance, if I look at the chart on top here, it seems that most error is between plus minus 5,000. So I have quite good confidence about the average value that predicted by this model. Now, similarly, if you look at other situations, what we are not just talking about industries in terms of businesses in the dollar and cent, but we also concerned about performance. Let's say what kind of performance we are talking about. Now, in this case here, for instance, in this case, if I'm running off operation flow, my major concern as an engineer is I have to take care my entire processes, make sure it's running without disruption. The major actually cause when it comes to productivity is sometimes we have something like a gauge we call OEE, overall equipment efficiency. Now, in any industries, right, it's very common that we have OEE about 80%. 80% means that you have 20% loss in, for instance, defect, that means that products produced actually got rejected. You have actually like certain, when your machines are available to run, but your materials run out of supply and your machine have to stay idle. When materials are there, somehow the machine breaks down. Yeah, all the machines that don't break down because the operator's not around. They're having a lunch break or having a shift change. All those things actually causing the stoppage without producing the products that I can ship to my customer is considered disruptions. So today, as an industrial 4.0, yeah, Industrial Revolution 4.0, customer are always a king, but not even become the higher kings. Yeah, they want the things in the way they want it, in the time they want it. So now to make sure my machine is running at tip-top conditions, if I can predict what will happen before the process breaks down, yeah, then I will stand a better chance to provide better customer service. So preventive maintenance using machine learning as predictive analytics become one of very important approach in industry these days. So now you look at other things. How about predictive model for engineering? If you somehow have a different elements or recipes, either you're making a recipe for food, drink, or you try to come up with composition for certain products to find out what's the maximum combination in order to get the best quality. So in the past, you have to go through a laboratory as an experiment. Yes, of course, by all means, you still need to go through laboratory experiment. But what if I have sufficient laboratory experiments, I can make this thing design handed to my customer. I say, now, if I can come up all those compositions already, I have some certain recipe, and I leave the recipe to the hand of customer. And I can use machine learning to make this wonderful application to make end user customer have a say about what kind of composition they want in order to achieve the recipe they long for. How does this work? Yeah, let me share with you how does it work before I share with you. This is something that the statistic can come out with. If I can give a predictive maintenance, 85 to 95% correctly alerts about future machine failure. That means we can avoid the unplanned failure about 85 to 95% time. That's a skyrocket saving in any company. Yeah, this is common. This is low-hanging fruit I'm talking about. What if I'm 95% confident that predicted reading is between 14.5? Yes, this is one of the figure plucked from the air. It could be any laboratory that reading that you say, hey, I'm 95% confident whenever I give a recipe to my engineering team, or give it to a hand of customer, they are 95% confident whatever combination of recipe you come up with will be between plus minus 14% unique from the actual result that you want. Yeah, let me share with you how does this thing work. Now, quickly here, if I share with this screen again, this one, this is simple. Now, if you look at actually one of typical data you could possibly collect from any the production floor. Now, of course, in production floor, you usually maintain the data in a very different way. Of course, most common one, you could have maintained a 50, 60 different worksheet for different data. Yeah, this is common for any engineer. Yeah, but what if you have this data collecting through your IoT? Yeah, assuming you're coming from IoT real time, something coming in database, you have like 10 or 1,000 records per day, or yeah, even like per week, per day, or per hour, things like that. If we have actually that data like that, wonderful, then you can easily actually integrate with your database. The simple actually integration like that, you just import it or integration, the system get trained. You can train it every week or every hour or every half an hour if you want to. Yeah, as long as you have proper actually system setting up, the system actually can train and learn along the way to find out what the actual situation is in your production floor. And you can actually ask the data to come in every second and every minute so they can predict what happened the next hour to come or next day to come. Now, before, of course, things is not that simple, as we still have to do some accuracy check to find out what will be my accuracy I'm talking about. Now, delightfully talking, we will find out the accuracy here, just simple actually as machine learning can give me as high as 90%. Meaning in this case here, whenever the system tell me the system is going up and down, I could be sure it's 90% accuracy when you're telling me something like that. So if I'm confident with this, I say I can use this model right away. In any one time, if I have actually reading coming in the system, the system can tell to me, now, the machine is going like 61% chance is going to break down and 38% is going to stay on maybe for next hour to come. So in this case, if it's coming like 61%, I'll start paying attention on this particular machine. I say, hey, before it actually breaks down, next hour, I make sure I send someone to take a closer look. Yeah, so it will not cause any disruption. So similarly, this is something more exciting. What if today I want to predict? Yeah, when I say I want to predict, whether in this case, I would say that I want to somehow come up with a proper recipe for the concrete strength. Now, in this case here, the concrete strength, for instance, in this case, it depends on a few things. Let me just take a quick look here on our previous PowerPoint. In this PowerPoint here, let's say a person, you find out that the strength of the concrete is very much depend on a few things. Now, for instance, it depends on the total amount of cement. It depends on whether they're going through a particular process like called blast furnace, or going through some process called fly ash. It also depend on the amount of water. They also depend on additive something called super plasticizer. And also depend on the observed attribute of this combination of product, like the coarse aggregate and the fine aggregate. Yeah, few things. So it's combining the elements you're going to put in the products, also combining the processes, also combining about how you observe maybe the cement properties is a coarse or fine one. Yeah, the couple of things that you're actually observing. So let's say you put in the hand of a laboratory executive. So you say, hey, I'm going to import this record from Excel spreadsheet that is an experiment that we did in the past. Now, quickly you can actually visualize and say, hey, if you're a data scientist, quite likely you'll be interested in things like that. For instance, let me share our screen here. Now, you'll be interested in say, Peter, I'm not just want to take a look at about the data import and run it as it is. In fact, I want to know how my data set looks like. Now, in this case here, I say, I just want to visualize how my actually data looks like in terms of output quality. So the output quality here is telling us this piece of concrete with the proper, with different recipe that we have been experimented on in the past. It shows something like normal distribution curve on our the output strength. So okay, in this case here, we have output strength. The maximum I can achieve is somewhere here. Yeah, like for instance, we can see the maximum I can get is like 80 in terms of strength, maybe it's a PSI. Yeah, so in the lowest one I can get somewhere it's like 5 to 10, and most of the time that I'll get between like 20 or 30. Now, in that case, of course, that if customer wants something like between 60 to 80, how do we achieve this part? At least we know right now. In the past, in laboratory with the different combination recipe, I can come out with from a range of 5 to 80 PSI. But now I want to come up with something between 60 and 80. So now, again, before we further move on of machine learning, and any data analyst, they will be interested in looking at, you say, among these 60, 80 of PSI, what actually will impact this output the most? So by looking at correlation, I think any people who have some basic understanding about statistics, they want to look at this. Yeah, which one actually have highest correlations to the qualities of output? It looks like in this case, water and cement, these two have major role to play. But for some other like processes and some other that additive does play a role also. But we do see these two things play the major role. Now, putting this thing aside, of course, this thing will help us do some data mining if we're interested in doing further analysis can go on. But maybe as a normal executive, I don't really care. I just say, I want to train a model, just one line of code. Yeah, one line of code. The system start training it and find out what will be the best way to model this thing using a machine learning algorithm. Before we start putting in use, I say, hey, I want to look at what will be my accuracy like. So now, if we look at this thing here, before we come to like more analysis about accuracy, we just quickly actually look at some of the chart here to tell us some of the story. Looks like actually accuracy here, majority the accuracy is the minus 10, yeah, PSI here. Assuming I accept this model. Now, assuming I accept this model, the very important part is right now is we are not just using machine learning to help us predict, yeah, about how much money go in, make things like that. But we are able to use the model in many different ways. Of course, first way is if you somehow as an engineer or as a customer, whoever it is or the boss interested in finding out, what if I have a combination of water, the cement, and also the additive in this way, what will be the strength like? The system tells us that, oh, the predicted strength with 33, about 33 PSI, plus minus 10 deviations, about 7 here. But what if I can simulate? Yeah, simulation is important because I want to simulate such that I say I want to play between, because I know cement and water play the major role in correlation in terms of output quality. What if today I can come up some sort of user interface like this? Then I ask the user, say, hey, any one time you change the cement quantity in a different proportion and water in different proportion, I can actually achieve the different strength or the qualities of output accordingly. So you see when I toggle around the water, seems I have more water, the quality drop. But at the same time here, if I decrease my cement, it seems to drop also the quality. If I increase cement to this part, it seems to increase like 70 and 80 all the way going up. And if I'm going to reduce my water, but in this case, but increasing the cement by reducing water, I can achieve maybe the certain desired PSI that I want. So I can do some sort of simulation along the way. When it's talking about simulation, you can start smelling. Peter is going to talk about optimizations. Yes, this is important. We don't want to do simulation right away, but if I can give you a chart, a visual chart, for you to see what kind of combination I want in order to achieve the strength I want. Not everyone want the strongest cement, because stronger cement may be more expensive, more proportion cement need branding. Sometimes certain actually structure require actually less strength of the concrete. People are happy. So now in this case here, we could see if it give her actually a very nice contour plot. Each of them is showing us a different value. The more to the bottom right corner, the strongest the concrete is. So now here, it gives us different combination, like this is like 100, the X value represent the cement volume, the X value, the Y value represent the water value. So in this case, it showed to us that that's a water, if I had, for instance, in this case, if I water have this part, to this part, and cement is between like 450 to about 500 in my water, and we keep on reducing, this is that much, about 80 are going to achieve. So it gives a very good chart to visualize how we can play with it. If we can say, hey, if we can come up something like that, then I say, can I actually deploy a local user interface so that any one time I can pass this thing to my colleague, email to someone who don't really care about this so-called additive, don't really care about some of the processes. They only care about these two things. Let's say they only care. Let's say you're going to put it, if I'm going to have a cement volume 350 and the water ratios, water amount maybe is 150. Based on machine learning model we come up, could it actually give us actually the answer right away? So the system give an answer, with this proportion of cement water, it's going to give us 52. Would you be happy to take it? But now, if you say this thing is wonderful, what if I put a hand on customer? It let customer come up with the thing they want. The more cement they want, of course, the higher price they have to pay. But they can come up with the strength that they want. For instance, in this case here, with a simple thing like this, we can deploy this whole solution that we just came out, a machine learning, into convert into a web-based actually solution, or convert it into API that you can link up with some of your backend solutions. Let me show what this website looks like. The website looks like this. It's a simple website. It's under my name called Cement. So the next thing is, of course, you say I'm going to put it, for instance, make up, I need cement 400 with water is 250. Of course, I can ask the customer to say, if you want cement 400, this is how much the price they have to pay for. But more importantly, the person interested in finding out what would be the strength I get. It would be 57. Would you want to go for that? And for this kind of thing, is unlimited. You can put this solution as ice cream. How many chocolate you want? How much sugar you want? Or you can put in some sort of beverage, come up with new cola. Let user actually have a say in coming designing the system. Now, the conclusion right now is the next few slides, quick conclusions. Now, if you look at this, how do we move from here to there? How do we actually make use of this predictive analytics technology? Not just for the things that I mentioned, for example, you can predict when your customer is going to leave. The call predictive channel. We can predict what the customer is going to buy next. We call predictive marketing. We can predict, another way is we call CLV, customer lifetime value. how much customer is going to contribute to your company profit in the next 3 years to come, things like that. We can do predictions on the quality. Yeah, it's all those predictions is like what people have in the past been talking about forecasting. Yes, people like to forecast, people like to predict because it's been so important to not just save us time, it helps us to gain better return. This is the whole thing that now is actually at your fingertips. You're not just able to do it in a local desktop, you can do it in the remote device or the cloud deployment. For instance, let me share with you another thing that is very interesting. Now, if I somehow not just come out with a solution like that giving you a concrete strength, what if today I have a train a model with, for instance, just now example I've been sharing. I say, hey, with this model here, I have a lot of data. The data is coming, for instance, a person that they want to get a band marketing campaign. What I have to do is I just able to drag one of my Excel spreadsheet. You see on my screen, I'm dragging Excel spreadsheet. I drop it there. Yeah, because I can train the model and put it in a cloud. But any one time, I can pass this solution to anyone in the world, to my colleagues, to my friends, my customer, to my boss. You see, to throw an Excel spreadsheet inside because I already come in a model with a very high accuracy. Now you just throw in a model of your customer data. So immediately you say this customer 01, for instance here, this is like customer ID. Yeah, customer ID here. Customer ID, we are talking about this one. Customer ID 01 all the way customer, so and so forth. We have many customers here. But important thing is among these all customers, 20 of them, the system will be able to immediately give you the result of this. This is most important part. Which part we are talking about? This is one. Let me just highlight for you. Now, the rightmost result here is this one. Is result either 0 or 1. So immediately by dragging this Excel spreadsheet, throw it in the system that have machine learning in background, that between a few seconds, you're able to know which one actually is 0, which one is 1. 0 means that those are people you don't have to call them, we don't have to approach them. 1 is a people who will potentially saying yes, but if you just give them a call, or send an email or text them, they will potentially say yes to your marketing campaign. So among these 20 of them, immediately system identify 3 of them is going to potentially your customer for this marketing campaign. So you save your time from not talking to the 17 of them, but you focus, identify, put all your fire, focus on 3 persons, the system say quite likely is going to say yes to you. Yeah. So it not just improve bottom line, but you also improve your customer relationship because you take chance to speak to the right people. You also, by not talking to certain people, you will not end up offending them by receiving your junk calls, yeah, or tele calls. These are very important. Now, let's take a quick look here again, just quick conclusion. What can we do next? Now, which one? Okay. Now, these are a couple of things that we can go. Yeah. For those people coming from the academic field, yeah, we have a next actually machine learning, yeah, a class 5 days, 4 hours every day. If you sign up this class, we give a just introductory fee, not introductory cost, introductory fee for those who sign up. Yeah, then you get not just early bird discount, but in this important is with this introductory fee, but it's not introductory cost. For you to actually expose yourself to how to make use of machine learning technologies, we will come out about 9 or 10 examples, yeah, practical example, so that you will find it actually not just people using for industry and business world, but how to make it useful for your this R&D. So later I'll give you a sign up link, how you can sign up, but if coming from industries, we have another 8-day class, because in this 8-day class, we're not just teaching you like how we are teaching for our good friends from the academic field, but you also teach you important things. You look at your scenarios, your context. What are you interested in saving or generating revenue from? And you teach you how to deploy your model. And also, if you are coming from, if you're new employees coming in company, they also actually can get sponsorship by Perkeso, under our Penjana, Malaysia's Penjana scheme. And later on, we can put in chat field, and you can interested in click on that to see if you're qualified or not. And of course, of those actually are job seekers, they also get sponsorship as well. Free of charge. As long as you go apply on your own, the time and the code accordingly, you can get the sponsorship and the same class exactly. Prepare yourself for Industrial 4.0. And today, in this 45 minutes, a quick conclusions. This whole process, either 5 days, especially in the 8 days one for business and in industries, involve only 6 steps. Yeah, if you have your goals, you want to be left out in Industrial 4.0. Important thing is to come to crash course that we're offering. And in a crash course, we teach you how to prepare our data. After the class, we give you some coaching. You can come back to us and say, hey, Peter, I have my data. I learned in a class how to come up with machine learning model properly. Then in stage 5, you can start building your own model. Then stage 6, you can come back to us anytime, say, hey, Peter, based on what you taught us in deployment, when actually come deployment, how do we make this happen in the most effective way? We'll be your hand-holding partner to help you achieve the same. So today, to cut the story short, and machine learning is one of the major investments for many. These are CTO in different countries who actually have benefited from machine learning. I hope all Malaysians, even though we are in a challenging time, but I do hope that we put the better and sooner we prepare ourselves, we will be able to face with all kind of new challenges with a very competitive way and effective way. So again, this quick barcode scanning here. Once you scan this barcode, you're able to come to our landing page. We'll give you more details about how you can sign up for sponsorship or signing up for the academic training. Now, thanks very much. If you have questions, that you can always email to us, approach us, or drop us a message on Facebook. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.